Hello Eurovision friends, thank you so much for coming to my channel Eurovision Histories. In this video I want to give you my quick review of the second semi-final of Eurovision 2024, which happened yesterday, and I will be talking about all of the performances, including the big three, so to speak, the big five countries that performed in this semi-final, as well as the shock non-qualifier, the shock qualifier, and all of the performances really, but also the show and the interval acts. And I want to start with that. I think Petra and Malin, our two hosts, did a marvelous job. There were lots of fun jokes. I wanted to say, if you want German lessons, you two, please contact me. I would be happy to teach you German. Petra spoke perfect Spanish. Malin spoke good Italian, I think perfect Italian probably. And then they had this joke where they said Guten Abend and then didn't really continue saying anything. I would be happy to do that. By the way, they kind of had a bit of a blunder because they showed some fans with a Belgium flag. So I can also teach you some flags if you want, camera guys, at semi-final 2. And we also had a really cool interval act, two really cool interval acts, actually. One of them, you can see right there, this karaoke bit, Allsang på Skansen, where everyone was supposed to sing along. I think most of the arena didn't really sing along, but Petra also held the microphone to some fans, which was really fun. And of course, we had these three Eurovision icons, Helena Paparizou, Sertab Erener, and Charlotte Perrelli, I always want to say Nielsen, winning, in the late 90s, early 2000s, so a lot of nostalgia. And I really like all of these songs, and I was reminded of that yesterday. Also, I think Botox doctors in Malmö had a lot of income this week, it seems. But all of them really, really good, really cool. And you really noticed when Petra and Malin started singing and then Helena Paparizou came out, you really noticed the difference between a good singer and a not so great singer. And then, of course, we had this interval act. We just love Eurovision too much. Kind of the Swedes making fun of themselves, which I loved, which was really fun, saying that you saw it, saying that they're sorry that they're winning so often, but they just love it too much. And we had Linda Woodruff coming out for the EBU supposedly as well, and just a fun interval act. And then there was a nod to Finland as well, basically an alternate reality where they would have won and how would the interval act have looked. And then Kerrier came out and gave us a short, quick rendition of Cha-Cha-Cha as well. And the beginning, I almost forgot that, was also very cool when they were sunbathing and kind of making fun of Loreen and the Swedish performance. So they really make fun of themselves, and I kind of like that a lot. And at the end, we also had the Harrys perform 40 years after their victory. Really cool as well. Nice idea to end the show like this. Someone posted, and I found that a bit funny, imagine you just didn't manage to qualify and then you have to sit through the Harrys performing. I think it's an iconic, fun Eurovision performance, even though it's not the best song in the world, of course. So very good show when it comes to the interval acts. Let's talk about the performances of the big three that were out of the competition in this case, because they are already qualified for the final. This one was so fun. Every single time it's fun, but I really had to laugh when she holds the microphone to the crowd and this whole arena sings back the lyrics in Spanish. That was so well done. They managed to improve the vocal. I think she sings it better, much better actually. And then there's also some backing support, I think, for the postal at the end of the performance as well, which helps this performance stay a bit more memorable and kind of hit more than with the subpar vocal performance we've seen before. The dancing was great. The aerial shot also adds a lot of fun to this, and it's just a glammed up version of the Benidorm performance. Well done, Nebulosa. Then we have Slimane and Mon Amour. I really wanted this to win, and I still do want this to win. And there are moments here that are really breathtaking, like the one you're seeing there, where he's standing away from the microphone and you still hear him. However, to me personally, I've seen a lot of people love this, and I do think that this white staging with the white floor and this white line in the background is very, very cool and visually impactful and elegant as well. I do think that some of these camera shots are a bit strange to me. Like there's too much focus on the hands, on the handography, which I find a bit weird, to be honest. And then this moment where it takes the camera and, it swings 360 degrees and you see the arena. I'm thinking that they wanted people to put on the wristbands they have. And you kind of see at the end of that swing that people are turning it on, but it's a bit too late. So I think for the final, they should probably change that because it's not working in the way. I mean, what they wanted was to see the arena illuminated really beautifully, but that hasn't really worked out so much in the semifinal, and it was a full arena. So I would change that. Great vocals, of course, very intimate at the beginning as well. And it has gotten a very good running order spot. So will be interesting to see how this does in the end. Then we have Angelina Mango with La Noia. I still love this song. It's still one of my 2 favorites or 3 favorites. I listen to it every single day. But this performance is not helping it. It's not a bad performance, I'm not saying that, but it's just there's too much choreography going on. She cannot let go of thinking, what is the next step I have to do? Where do I have to sit down next? And that kind of takes away from the whole spontaneity we saw in Sanremo. I said that from the very beginning. I also think that the visual, you can see it there, is just very busy. There's way too much happening between the screen in the background, the throne they have on the stage, which I kind of like the idea, and then the outfit, which also have all of these ornaments and stuff. It's just a little bit much, I think. Maybe for the final they will switch to another outfit. We've seen Italy do that. They kind of know that from Sanremo. We shall see, and then maybe it's a bit better. She did interact with the camera more than in some of the rehearsals. But unfortunately, this left me a bit underwhelmed. And I almost forgot mentioning this. I feel like this song needed Lena energy. Like when you see the 2010 performance by Lena for Germany, it's just her on that stage and you feel her youthful spirit and energy. And that was enough to win. You didn't need all of this background and dancers and everything. So it's too late to change it now. I still hope that she does very well. But I would have gone another route probably with this. Do subscribe to this channel, only a third of you are, and then I won't have to remind you anymore. Now let's get to the shock non-qualifier. And for me, that was, and for most people, I think that was definitely Musti and Belgium. A lot of people had this song as a potential winner a few weeks ago, and it went down and down and down in the odds. And then in the end, he didn't manage to qualify, very unfortunately. I chose this picture by the EBU for a reason, and that is that I think he almost wanted it too much. Like there was too much intensity in the whole performance. People might have been a bit put off by that. And then in the beginning, you also might have noticed that it feels like he was off key for the first minute and a half of the song, or was singing in a different key that didn't quite match the music, which is off key, I guess. So it was a bit of a shock that he didn't make it in the end, because I think the song itself did deserve to qualify. But considering everything that I just said, there are arguments for it not qualifying. Very sorry for him. I know it was a big dream of his to go to Eurovision, and indeed for a lot of the ones that we're going to talk about now. So I'm sorry for him, but I kind of understand why it didn't work out in the end. This is one where I hope till the very last qualifier was announced that it might make it into the final, because I thought that this performance was really good, cool staging. The vocals were pretty good. She did seem to have some kind of problem with her in-ear and maybe didn't hear herself, but it still sounded quite good to me, I have to say. The energy was really cool. This moment where she flips her head back and says, "We love rock," was impactful, cool. And San Marino has already said that they might not be returning next year, which I kind of understand, which might be in the heat of the moment. But this was definitely, I think, a performance that should have qualified. I do feel like very sorry for them as well, but they did a great job. And this is also, by the way, the only performance in a national language that did not qualify in this semifinal, which is really, really cool as well. Not for them, but for everyone else. And the fact that national language is not an impediment, but seems to be an advantage, is actually something really, really cool. Then we have Sara Bunici with Loop for Malta. I think this suffered by the fact that two more similar songs, Austria and Georgia, came after it, which were more of a song, and the fact that they chose this recap clip that was just a dance break, there was nothing of the song there, wasn't a good decision, I don't think. And so I wasn't very surprised. The performance itself deserved to qualify, but the song was probably just not enough to do it, unfortunately. Very sorry for her. I know it was her big dream. She is great, and I hope she returns at some point. This one, also not very surprised that it didn't qualify. There was a big lack of energy and of, keeping you engaged in the performance. It seemed empty, both when it comes to the staging concept, but also the song was a bit, and maybe leaving this in Albanian would have actually made the difference, as we see songs in national languages in general qualified, and this made it a bit more, exchangeable against all of the other songs that were in English. Being in Albanian might have stuck a bit more, and the diaspora didn't go for this either, so that tells you something, I do think. Then Saba and Sand, pretty good performance, but the song was just a bit dull, I think, way too repetitive. The staging was great, but some of the camera shots didn't quite work when she does this with the sand, and you don't really see it. And the beginning with this light in her eyes also looked a bit weird. Just a few things that didn't quite work out the way I think they wanted it to look. And so staging would have probably deserved to qualify, but the song just wasn't enough. I think this might have been quite borderline, actually, because I really enjoyed this performance. The song is really, really cool and good. It stands out as a song. They did everything they could with the staging. I loved the part where they were in the box that came down from the ceiling. You see the couple fighting, and then they're in the box. But apparently it wasn't quite enough to make it. I wouldn't be surprised if this came 11th or 12th, and maybe San Marino 11th or 12th as well. Kind of sad for them, but some people did not have to qualify. Then we have the shock qualifier. They called it first, and I was like, what? And that is, of course, Dons and Hollow. I was completely wrong about this. The odds were completely wrong about this. I think almost everybody was completely wrong about this. But I am so happy for him. I am so happy for Latvia, which broke its non-qualification streak. Last time they qualified was in 2016. That is a long time. By the way, the last time they qualified was also in in Stockholm, but it was Petra Mede announcing them first in the second semifinal. That was something really cool to see. So they probably need Petra to host the next couple of Eurovisions. I mean, the performance was great vocally. I just thought that this whole, a bit distant and not as much feeling might hurt it before seeing the performance in the semifinal, because at the end he got really emotional. He really loved this experience. You could really tell. And that is, I think, why he qualified in the end. And I mean, great for him. And this will do wonders in the final. I think with the juries, they will absolutely like this. I'm quite sure, because it's one of the only ballads in English in the final. This one, I mean, I like this. I like the song. I like her. But for the vocal performance, there were a few moments where the microphone wasn't next to her mouth 100%, and you couldn't quite hear her sing, because there is so much happening that she has to remember. I understand completely that this is very hard. And I mean, a lot of people will like this for being so out there, but a lot of people will also be turned off by it. All of these colors in the background, when the music is also very in your face, might be a bit much for some people, but I do like it. I love this aerial shot when you see her through the box on the roof. So yeah, pretty cool, I have to say. I also like the traditional elements, the dances they added in, but it might just be a bit too much for some people. I don't see this doing all that well. Maybe. Well, I'll do my prediction later on. I don't want to talk too much about that yet. Then Nemo and the Code for Switzerland. I was honestly scared for Nemo a few times during that performance. It is incredibly risky, the kinds of things Nemo does on that circle thing on that platform. I mean, my God, jumping off it, walking up on it, turning around, sliding down. There are so many moments where something could go wrong. And meanwhile, Nemo hits the notes 100%. It sounds like the studio version. It is absolutely incredible. And I mean, I still don't love the outfit, but it isn't as noticeable in the TV feed performance. So I was not surprised that this qualified, and we shall see how it does in the final. I mean, kudos to Nemo 100% for that performance. Really proud of Nemo there. Then we have Colleen and We Will Rave. To be quite honest, when I saw the show, I thought, this is not going to make it. This is not enough of a song and of a performance to make it, but it did. I think I don't quite like the vocal tone, and that might be the problem. I think she sang it pretty well, but I just don't love the vocal tone 100%. I also thought that Malta and Austria might take votes from each other. You saw that in my prediction, but apparently in the end, that didn't quite happen. So very happy for Austria that they are back in the final. Then we have Lada Niva with Jaco for Armenia making it. This was a really fun performance. I did notice that the musicians go down from the platform and join her for a part of the performance. And it's such a colorful thing, and they really create a bit of a party vibe. I just noticed also that this song is incredibly repetitive. It's not that long. It's not even 3 minutes long. But even after 2.5 minutes, I was like, yeah, I mean, they could have added a bit more variation in the song, I do think. What I think juries will like a lot is that each musician gets his time and her time to shine with this performance. But it's not the kind of genre that the juries usually go for, so we shall see what happens. She is an incredibly charismatic performer, though. Then Nusa Buzaladze for Georgia. Georgia finishing a non-qualification streak, which lasted since 2016 as well, just like Latvia. Very happy for them and for Georgian Eurovision fans as well. I think completely deserved. This was the best of the girl bop songs in the semifinals. The dance and the whole staging was the best one of all of these entries. I also think that it will be the best of these kinds of entries in this genre, female-led pop song, in the final, and it has gotten, I think, a pretty good running order spot, so could do quite well. And then, I mean, the backing dancers were very good. The staging fits the meaning of the song, so yeah, this qualified for a reason, I do think. Then Estonia, 5 Minutes and Pulup, and with Lithuania, Latvia, and Estonia making it, that means we have the entire Baltic region in the final for the first time since 2015. Really cool for them, really happy. And I think this made it because the audience was in the arena. At the rehearsals, it fell a bit flat for me, but with the audience in the arena, it really came alive, I would say, in a way. And especially the start with the rapper in the audience, with the audience in the background, that really created a really fun entry into the song. So a very fun performance by Estonia. Indeed, then we had Edin Golan in Israel qualify as well. Very good vocal performance, as every single time she has performed this song. Great vocal tone as well. The staging is quite fitting for this kind of song, I do also think. There were reports in social media that there were a lot of boos in the audience. I didn't hear that in the TV broadcast, and I wasn't in the hall, so I don't really know. This was also the only English ballad, really, along with Latvia, which also qualified in this entire semifinal with a lot of louder songs. So it kind of makes sense that this qualified. I did predict it to qualify as well. However, since the end of the second semifinal, there has been a revelation that Rai accidentally published some of their televotes, all of their televotes actually, from the semifinal, and Israel got 40% of all of these votes, which might indicate that on Saturday we will see a huge landslide by Israel in the televote. But it's also just the televotes from one country, which didn't even compete in the semifinals. Not that many people probably watched it, not that many people voted. So I don't know how many conclusions you can draw from just that small piece of data. We will know by Sunday morning which one of the two is correct. I couldn't tell you at this point, and we shall see. It has gone up in the odds quite a bit, is now second in the odds. Then Gorta and Ulveham obviously made it. Not getting a lot of views on YouTube, but I don't think that means all that much because it's basically the same performance as in the national final, so maybe people go to that as well. Very good vocals again, but some people I was watching with thought that this was a bit too much for them, and they were quite happy when it ended. I still think it's a cool concept and a cool song, but I am very uncertain about predicting this once chances for the grand final. So we shall see what happens there. This one I was positively surprised by. He had this Euro Papa in the background, so he kind of did the karaoke before the interval happened with the karaoke as well. The whole arena went with him. And it was just a very fun performance when he says that no matter where you come from, let's all come together, and then you have this incredible dance break that is really fun and really memorable. Also, I think that was really cool, really impressed by this performance. I also think that a lot of people will be a bit taken aback by it and might not vote for it, but the emotional moment at the end was also quite well done, I have to say. So we shall see what happens. This got a pretty bad running order spot, to be honest, in 5th position. So it's, yeah, maybe not winning anymore, but we shall see what happens. These are my opinions of the second semi-final. Let me know in the comments what you thought, and then I will see you for my next video. See you then, and bye-bye.